Layla, 19 years old, suffers from excess weight, which nourishes deep-seated inferiority complexes. From time to time, crying is observed with her in the privacy of her room. This is a reaction to the painful rejection of the village. Adults openly denigrate her, and children, fearing her appearance, persistently avoid getting close to her, thereby enhancing their sense of isolation. As Layla walks through the streets of the village, all she gets are strange looks and judgmental glances. She is insulted by people, children run away from her, and youths of her own age group make mean jokes at her. All these cases of rejection deepen her depression and amplify how isolated and in pain she is living in a world that has no time for her. One evening, returning to her cottage, she finds that the entire house is on fire, a ghastly deed by the villagers to oust her from the locality. Overpowered by despair and tears, Layla runs about in the darkness as the villagers laugh and make comments. They throw things at her, asking her to leave. Layla stumbles, barely aware of an exhausted run, to the brink of the forest, desperate and bitter in the cold rain that starts to fall. It is almost as if the volume on the temperature has been lowered, magnifying the feeling of despair and loneliness. Hope of being accepted in this village has gone. All that is left is heartache. She has no choice, and so Layla, abandoned and alone, makes her way toward what seems to be her only option for shelter, the forest. The rainy night pushes her deeper into the trees that, she hopes, will give temporary refuge from the storm, not only in the sky, but also within her. As soon as Layla starts her walk through the wood, she already can hear some weird sounds, howls of wolves, whispers in the bushes, and bird twitter. And it is a paradox that, though the wood looked so quiet and peaceful, it concealed some smell of terror. Such a dual atmosphere didn't give her any hope at all and just made her feel all the stronger alone and terrified of her most unexpected journey in the nighttime. The more Layla moves deep in the forest, so she feels she is far from the entrance and cannot retreat anymore, this sensation of being isolated keeps on growing when darkness is intensified. She perceives in the distance that there is a huge tree with roots and wide-spread branches. This moment brings her a wave of joy, knowing that despite adversities, she can find peace and safety under the branches of this tree, and therefore overcome fears of the night. Layla got closer to the tree, but her joy suddenly changed for fear when she found a sleeping wolf at the base. Surprised and full of fear, she became aware that a decision should be made. With small movements and barely perceptible breathing, Layla gets away from the wolf tactically. She did manage to hide at a reasonable distance from danger, safely behind a tree. The loud thunder woke the wolf. In those tense moments, Layla hurried to find a stone and threw it away to distract the wolf from her spot. Taking advantage of the moment of doubt of the wolf, desperate and frightened, Layla gives herself courage and runs to the other side. With desperation and fear pulsing in her veins, she knows that any mistake would be fatal. In front of Layla appears a surprise. A little house lit from inside that testifies of safety and warmth. A spark of hope rekindles in her heart. Coming up to the cottage, Layla opened the door and entered. Inside, a dwarf looked at her strangely. He was struck with fear, yet marveled at the unusual sight of her appearance. He is a dwarf, small in growth, with an unkempt beard and eyes too large and astonished, like those of a lamb. His hair is curled. Shy curiosity shines from under the shaggy eyebrows. His shortness and leather boots complemented the rustic and unusual look on him. Layla explains calmly, "I do nothing more than snatch a little warmth and security out of the cold night and perils of the woods." The called dwarf Wiley took some food and water to Layla, inviting her to sit at the table. This simple token from them gives her a moment of peace. She tells the dwarf the whole story, how she was driven out of the village, undergoing a kind of hell with her own complexes, revealing all her fears and inner insecurities. Wiley tells Layla about Emma, a young artist whose rather avant-garde manner of painting made it impossible for her to be understood by anyone. One day, by chance, she discovered an old painting in her grandfather's attic. Scolded by her art teacher for a chaotic mix of colors, Emma decides to look for a different opinion and contacts the owner of a gallery, who recognizes it as a work of great value because it's done by a famous avant-garde artist. The painting's exposure changes Emma's life perspective, makes her recognized and successful. Later, Emma comes to the understanding that the worth of a young artist is not in the opinion of others, but in her own genuineness and faith to talent. The very idea that even if people may not appreciate you at your true value, there are always those who do and recognize one's value. He uses this story to remind Layla that the important point is to find the place where we are valued and appreciated for who we truly are. Then she hugged Wiley, smiling, and thanked him for all the support and acceptance that she offered. She said no one had ever treated her like this, offering some food and unconditional appreciation, or encouraging her. And now, when she met someone with whom she could see herself being, she did not bother to hide anything because he accepted her as she was indeed. Wiley answers in a half-whisper, kindly suggesting that she can stay with him tonight, and tomorrow he will bring her out of the woods. And one more thing he has in store for her, something he wants to tell her outside the woods. I have a surprise for you, but we will wait to hear it in the morning. I can only tell you that everything is well, he says mysteriously and with anticipation. The next day, Layla and Wiley got up very early and left in the direction of the door of the forest. The path was nice, under a warm sun and without any single cloud to threaten anything. In Layla's heart, there was a sense of placid anticipation. She had overflowing curiosity as to what surprise Wiley prepared. On the way, they approached the edge of the forest. The feeling of excitement and anticipation mixed with pleasure from the journey began to dominate. Together. With that, Layla felt that even if nothing more were to be her lot, she would have experienced the supreme joy of Wiley being by her side. Reaching the edge of the forest, she confessed to Wiley that while she was curious to find out the surprise, still more important to her was the fact that he had been gentle in welcoming her. She hugged him and kissed his cheek when both of them turned into two beautiful young people. In fact, Wiley was a magic creature, under a curse. Owing to their sincere connection and mutual acceptance of each other as they were, the curse has been broken and they could show their true beauty. With a warm smile on his face, Wiley showed Layla the surprise, a map to a new home. Just because she moved, Layla invited Wiley for the path. They both began in unison toward the home which was going to be their niche where boundless love and hope reigned. As every day unfolded a new page of their abode, their feelings for each other deepened and wove them into a tighter relationship. Finally, love, which finally had gone through marriage and procreation, a child woven with their love, a symbol that love is accepted with no boundaries and conditions. This heartwarming story about Wiley and Layla is a journey inside the bounds of acceptance and unconditional love. It is an example that real beauty and happiness are found within one's self-acceptance and in the acceptance of others for who they are. When we make a conscious decision to open our hearts and expose our vulnerable sides, we set into motion forces that, like magic, turn us into the best expressions of ourselves. This is a story which throws light on the elevated power of love and acceptance. Hearken to the day with that life partner of deep, full appreciation for whom we are, strength, weaknesses, when we soar high in the beauty and happiness which surrounds.